Can you hear me?
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
Okay, great. So, if anybody has a question, I'll answer that. Anybody? What is the status of the assignment?
One question I have from assignment.
Yeah, go ahead.
Sir, in chapter 6, decision tree,
Yeah,
so there was a question, grow a forest. In
yeah.
this question, sir, two techniques are given for checking accuracy of these splitted data sets. We have splitted in 1,000 subtrees. So one
Oh,
of them is just averaging out all the accuracy, and the other one, the another is taking mod, something called majority votes. Uh, so, sir, what's the difference? I'm not getting in the these two.
you don't understand the difference between the two.
Yes, sir. Like
So in one case we are taking the average, in another case we are taking the the frequency, means the one which the output which has the highest frequency.
uh,
So do
uh,
you not see the difference between the two?
nice, sir. I'm that's clear. But what I want to know, like this mode one, we are saying this accuracy for random forest, and the other, and this is like better, far better than the average, taking average. But in this, uh, when we are taking average, this is also a kind of accuracy. So, sir, what I'm not getting is like. Uh, why we need to do this one like taking average.
So are we growing the same tree in both the cases, or is it a different tree?
So the trees are same, like data sets are same.
The data set is the same, but the method is the same or method is different.
Some some method are same only.
Same only.
They
What do you
are
mean?
same, like we are cloning uh, all the 1,000 trees, and in the another method also we are doing the same. No, sir, like
Okay, let me read. Let me look at the question once. Send me an email, okay, with the details. Okay, and I'll try to answer it in the next class. Okay.
okay, sir, okay.
This is due next week, no, or not, or on this Sunday.
on this Sunday.
Okay, I'll try to answer it today itself. Okay. Anybody else?
Sir, regarding the project,
Yeah.
sir, uh, sir, do we have to find some problem like do we have to make a project which will predict whether the semiconductor device will go to the next stage or it has passed all the parameters, something like that we have to do in the project, sir.
Yeah.
Sir,
Maybe you can classify a defect in of what kind. So n- so it is in most of the cases when we are trying to classify a defect, we are not just interested whether the device is going to work or not work. We also usually try to specify or classify it into what kind of defect it is. Okay, so that we can take, if we know what kind of defect it is more likely that we'll have a good way of correcting it in the future. Okay.
okay, sir. Okay.
So that is not the only goal of defect classification. So it is called as defect classification, not just whether it is working or not working. That is not usually the goal. Okay, we usually want to be more precise in what kind of defect it is.
Okay, sir.
Okay, but I am giving you freedom rather than assigning you a problem. I'm giving you a freedom to choose whatever problem you want to work on. Okay.
Okay, sir.
So the project will be between 10 and 15 marks. What is the classwork portion? It is 35 or 40 in this course. Anybody remembers?
I think
I think it
40.
is, huh?
I think it is 40.
40. So it will be between 10 and 15 marks your project, and uh, there have been many, uh, I'm not sure, maybe class participation will be like 10 marks, including the project, the discussions during the assignment discussions. Okay, so I don't think your class is doing very well. So, but what can be done? So let us continue with semiconductor manufacturing. Today we'll go through the various unit processes that we have in semiconductor manufacturing. So the whole the different components of the manufacturing processes are called as unit processes. Okay, so we'll go through those unit processes one by one. Let us first start with oxidation. Any idea where oxidation might be used in semiconductor manufacturing? Anybody has any idea? Come on.
Sir, like, when the sand is processed, sir, to obtain silicon, sir, I think first we need to do some oxidation process to obtain silicon dioxide, and then we reduce it by some heating process to obtain the pure silicon. So during this,
No, that is not how silicon. That is not how. Means you start with silicon dioxide to make silicon, but we are at the stage where we already have silicon. Okay, we are starting from there. Okay.
Okay, sir.
So we do not start with silicon, create oxide, and then go back. Okay, we do not do that. We start with silicon dioxide, which is present everywhere as sand. Okay, and then we purify it and create silicon. Once we are at silicon stage, then we oxidize it. But where is oxide used in semiconductor devices? Any place you might know where oxide is used? Which part of a semiconductor device is oxide?
सर मॉसफेट में जो
Metal oxide. Okay, so MOSFET we have discussed that. So MOS. So this is the place where oxide actively plays a role in your semiconductor device. So oxidation is really important step. Okay, and moreover it is an important step, but the purity of oxidation or the purity of oxide that is generated as a result of this oxidation is also very important. Okay, why? Because you do not want any kind of what do you not want? Any kind of defects in the oxide, because if there are defects, then what do you have? You lose the main advantage of a MOS. What is the main advantage of a MOS? That compared to bipolar junction transistors, what is the main advantage? Anybody? What does oxide do? Come on यार, बड़े शांत हो गए हो तुम लोग यार.
It act as a dielectric. Yes.
हाँ?
Sir, the oxide act as a dielectric. Sir.
Yeah, as an insulator. Okay, so if it is not of a very good quality, if it's not of a very good quality, what is most likely going to happen? It will not act like a good dash. Huh?
Good capacitor.
Good insulator. Yeah, capacitor, that's fine. Okay, so it will not be a good insulator. So primarily defects in oxide manifest themselves as some charges that might be present. Okay, charges might be present, or there might be some non-zero conductivity through it. You obviously do not have zero conductivity, or everything has non-zero conductivity, but the conductivity becomes higher. So we do not want that to happen. Okay, so how is primarily oxidation done? So if you have a silicon surface, okay, silicon substrate, and you want to create oxide on top of it, how would you do that? Anybody? what would be the method for creating oxide, silicon dioxide out of silicon? Come on, chemistry. What kind of chemistry would you apply? तो ऑक्साइड बनाना इतना मुश्किल थोड़ी होता है यार, तुमने बहुत सारी रिएक्शंस. हाँ,
Sir, we can simply expose the silicon to oxygen atoms.
yeah. How do you do that? What physical form would your oxygen atoms be in?
Sir, it will be in O2 form.
Oxygen gas. Okay, so you pass oxygen on top of your silicon. Okay, and what do you do in? So do you think that you will get a reasonably thick oxide if you do that?
No, sir, I think we have to, sir, pressurize, or sir, we have to use some other process. Because by simply exposing, we will get a very thin layer.
Yeah, that is good. So usually all of the reactions in this world are self stopping. Okay, they'll stop at a certain point because of various reasons. So if this were sufficient, then we would have every silicon piece would be converted to silicon dioxide automatically, which does not happen. Okay, the complete silicon does not get converted to silicon dioxide. Only a small layer on top of silicon gets converted to silicon dioxide at room temperature. So if you want a thicker oxide, how would you do that? Some Vivek, I think, mentioned pressure, but pressure is not that straightforward. Means because most of the times you need a very high pressure to increase your reaction rate. Something which is much easier. Tanya, what do you say?
Temperature.
Huh?
Temperature.
Good. So we heat it up. Okay. So usually you heat it up between 900 degrees centigrade to 1000 degrees centigrade. Okay. Not 1000, sorry, 1200. Okay. So that results in generation of oxide. Okay. So what do you do next once your oxide is generated? उसके बाद क्या करोगे? Anybody? Oxide तो पूरे, जब हमने सिलिकॉन को पूरे को रख दिया, okay, but some regions have क्या है? Some regions have your, so this is your N plus, this is polysilicon. What do you want after this oxide has been generated? मान लो after doing all this, we have generated an oxide, okay, but that oxide is going to be present everywhere because there was silicon present everywhere and oxygen was flowing through the whole silicon at all points, and the temperature of the whole substrate was 900 to let us say 1000 degrees centigrade. So you have silicon dioxide everywhere. What do?
So we can etch the unwanted regions.
Good. So where did you read that? Etch, the word etch.
Sir, etching, sir, we had a course last semester, sir, about this. So I don't remember the name.
Microelectronics something.
Sir, analog devices.
So this was taught to you?
And no, sir, not sir. That fabrication course, we have been taught the whole fabrication of silicon ingots and all that process.
In which course? In our department.
Yes, sir.
What is the name of the course? So was that compulsory for all of you?
So it was sir, departmental courses.
Yeah, but was it an elective? Everybody took it, or only a few people
Sir,
took it?
everybody took it. It was not an elective, sir.
Yeah, what is the name of the course? Was it a lab course? What was it?
No, sir, it was a theory course.
How many
Sir, I
lectures a
think-
week?
I think it was material sciences.
Yes, sir, material science. Yeah.
Okay, not in our department.
No, not in our department.
Okay, so you have already done all this.
And not, sir, not all this, sir, but sir, etching and that multiple layer, that one we have been taught.
Sir, that was means quite general.
Okay, that's fine. Let
Yes,
us.
sir.
If somebody knows, you can answer it. Otherwise, we will move on. So I'll complete this for this particular course because some people do not remember or whatever is the reason maybe. So we want to etch. Okay, we want to etch. How do we etch? How do we etch this oxide from away from or so etching is physically means is another name for removal. Okay, so we are removing oxide from these regions. Why do we want to remove oxide from these regions? Because we want to make contacts on our source and drain. We do not want oxide to be present over there. So how do we etch that? What do we do to
By polishing.
by polishing? It would be really hard to polish these small regions. How would you do that? And how long would it take? Vivek, do you think it is going to take long if you have a billion transistors? Billion,
Yes.
B with a capital B.
Yes.
So polishing is not really a. I mean, it may be possible, but it is not really a very useful, because maybe it will take your whole lifetime to create one silicon wafer, one Intel processor. So we do not want to do that. Polishing is not a good alternative. So polishing, not a good alternative. Polishing. Nope, we can't do that. Anybody else?
Sir, for metal etching, sir, a photolithography I think used, but sir,
Yeah, so one thing that we need to do is we need to create a pattern. Okay, we might use chemical etching, or we may use so there are etching has is of two types. Okay, primarily, so etching is of two types. One is wet and another one is dry. Okay, so wet etching is usually done with a chemical. Okay, with a chemical which reacts with your material. Okay, and dry is usually done with some form of plasma. You know what plasma is? Plasma is ionized gas. Okay, you apply a very high electric field in a gas, so that it automatically ionizes into positive ions and negative electrons, and those electrons keep on colliding with with future molecules of your gas, and they keep on generating more and more ions. So that is the basic principle of generation of plasma. So etching can be done either through chemical etching, or wet chemical etching, or dry plasma, either a reactive plasma or a non-reactive plasma. So again, plasma can be of two types. One is a reactive plasma, another one is non-reactive. Okay, by reactive I mean there is a chemical reaction that is going to take place between the plasma ions and your material. Okay, and non-reactive etching would be that no chemical reaction happens. If no chemical reaction happens, then how is the material going to be etched? Anybody? If there is so non-reactive, how is the material going to be etched if there is no reaction? Is reaction the only way to remove something? Obviously not. I told you the answer, but how is it going to happen? Vaishnavi? So what is plasma? Plasma consists of, forget about the electrons for now, it consists of a beam of ions. Okay, can they remove a material from somewhere? Are you there, Vaishnavi, today? I can't hear you. Okay, Dipanshu, what do you think?
like plasma, this ionized plasma can sir, can induce charge on this exposed layer and remove them like that, but by charge, like by electricity, something like that.
So if you have a plasma which contains ions and they are moving at a certain speed, okay, what are they going to do? अगर मैंने ions यहाँ पे इसके ऊपर मैंने bombard करे, okay, and there is no chemical reaction happening. Okay, let us say that those ions are of an inert gas. Let us say argon. Okay, these ions are of an inert gas called, let us say argon is one of those inert gases which is very commonly used in plasmas. So what is going to happen if I bombard them? Think about it. If you know a technique called sand blasting, I don't know whether you know it. Sand blasting. What does sandblasting do? Anybody knows? Think about it. Even if you don't know it, if you have not heard of it previously, just think about what would this do. Will it etch away material from let us say you have paint on your window, okay, and you blast sand at a very high speed towards a window which is painted, okay? Do you think it is going to remove some material?
Yes, sir, it will scrape off the oxide in this case.
Yeah, so in this case, these ions, although there no chemical reaction is taking place, but by physical contact, okay, so it's a contact sport, you can think. In this contact sport, these ions, they get rid of your oxide on the surface, okay. But that is not primarily what is used for removing oxide. We use these ions, means etching for various, this dry etching for various other places. Here primarily we use wet etching, okay. What is wet etching going to do? We put this, we create a pattern, okay, by using something called as photolithography, okay, and we somehow create a pattern using something called as photoresist, okay. I'll get into this in a later stage. We'll talk about this a little bit later on. And let us say somehow magically I have created a pattern over here, okay, and I put this whole thing, this whole wafer, I submerge it into what? Into a chemical bath, okay. If I submerge this into a chemical bath, okay, and that chemical bath is some hydrofluoric acid, okay, with diluted with water, okay, it's some ratio of hydrofluoric acid and water, and I put that into it, okay. And we know from experience that silicon dioxide, when it comes in contact with a mixture of water and hydrofluoric acid, dissolves in it, okay. Silicon dioxide dissolves in it, but silicon does not, okay. Silicon dioxide reacts with it and gets completely removed from this, but silicon does not, okay. And what about photoresist? Although it may appear as if HF is so toxic it is going to remove your photoresist also, but it does not, okay. Even if it reacts a little bit, most of the photoresist stays at this place. So the only place where HF comes into contact with your silicon dioxide is where? कहाँ पे contact में आएगा? HF कहाँ पे contact में आएगा? HF is hydrofluoric acid. हाँ?
Region outside photo.
Yeah, region where we do not have photoresist. Okay. So what is going to happen? If you keep it long enough, it is going to remove your oxide from these places. Okay. But there is one problem with this kind of wet chemical etching. Can anybody tell me what might be a problem with wet chemical etching? Let us say in this case oxide is thin, okay, it is not a big problem, okay, in this particular case. But let us say I have a situation like this where my silicon is this big and my photoresist is of this thickness. This is my photoresist, this is my SiO2, okay, and I put it in a silicon bath. What is going to happen if my silicon dioxide is very thick? Let us say that. What is going to happen in that case?
Sir, photo resist material will corrode as well. Means,
Huh?
sir, before the etching, the photoresist material will means it. Sir, it will completely react with.
No, it does not react too much. Okay, so it is not, let us forget about that. Okay, photoresist is going to stay at its own place. Let us not worry about that. Okay, let us say we have a very cockroach-like photoresist. It does not die easily. Okay. Tanya, you are saying something?
हाँ
Yeah.
sir, suppose the side wala SiO2 dissolves, then it is possible that the middle will also get dissolved by
Yeah.
the
So these reactions are not usually directional. Okay, these reactions are not directional. So what is it called? Anisotropic or isotropic? They are isotropic. Okay. So the reactions are usually isotropic. What do I mean by isotropic? They move at the same speed in all the directions. Okay. So let us say once you etch this much, okay, then what is going to happen? your reaction here is going to take place like this. ठीक है ना? Do you understand what I am saying? Do you understand what is happening? So once you remove this much material, let us say it moves in a circular sort of pattern. Okay, so the material will be removed in this fashion, and then I have more space over here, then the material will be removed more. So after the whole etching process is done, let us say we time it perfectly so that we just remove enough silicon dioxide from here. So we time it perfectly. Timing is not a problem. So my whole final pattern is not going to look what we expect it to. Okay, after the etching is said and done, my final pattern might look something like this. Okay, so because of this isotropic nature, it may be very efficient in doing compared to this dry. Dry usually takes much longer as compared to this wet chemical etching, but we may still prefer dry etching at some places if we do not want something like this to happen. Okay, so if instead of wet chemical etching you had dry etching, what would have happened in this particular case? क्या होता? क्या होगा उस केस में? You are bombarding your ions from top. So what do you think your final pattern is going to be? क्या होगा तुम्हारा आफ्टर एचिंग इज सेड एंड डन? किस टाइप का दिखाई देगा हमें? दीपांशु, या somebody else unmuted. Tanya, please.
हाँ सर, I was just saying कि perfect मिल जाएगा, then like a proper
Yeah,
square.
so we'll have, because our goal when we created this photoresist, our goal was to have a pattern like this. Okay, the photoresist is removed after we are done patterning. So my end goal was to have something like this. If I used wet chemical etching, I would not get this. I would get a pattern which would look, which I just drew, something like this. Okay, which may not be desirable for our application. Okay, so even though this may be faster or whatever, but we may prefer dry etching to wet etching in many applications. Okay, so that is etching.
Sir?
Yeah,
But sir, as you said, this is going to be very thin, the oxide layer. So it
no,
doesn't matter.
I gave you an therefore I drew it separately. I did not do it over here. This is not going to be the in case of this gate oxide, it is usually very thin, so it does not really make that much of a difference whether you use dry etching or wet etching. Okay, but it may, if your channel length is too small.
अच्छा, yeah, okay, sir.
Okay, so that's why I drew something which was much thicker. Okay, to show you what really happens. Okay, any other questions by anybody in these topics?
Like you said, sir, dry etching जो होती है सर वो माइक्रो लेवल पे एफिशिएंटली काम नहीं करती है, तो सर इस प्रोसेस में भी हमें इन दी एंड वेट एचिंग तो करनी पड़ेगी ना, लाइक सर जो वेरी थिन लेयर बचेगी सर, लाइक उसे हटाने के लिए.
नहीं, एफिशिएंटली काम करती है, मैंने ये कहा एफिशिएंटली काम नहीं करती. By efficiently I mean, if I use the word efficiently, I meant that it is not too fast. Okay, it is very slow because you are bombarding individual ions, so they have to individually remove. So you can think about it, it's going to be much slower. ठीक है ना? आ रहा है समझ में या नहीं? हाँ? Let us say you wanted to remove, I'll give you the same example that I previously used for sandblasting. Okay, so when the carpenter wants to remove a thin piece of wood from one of your panels, okay, you have a wood panel, wood door, you want to, it is when you close it, it hits the other side. Okay, so you want to remove a little bit of portion of wood from one side. You could possibly use sandblasting, but what is sandblasting going to do? उसमें कितना टाइम लगेगा? पेंट को हटाने के लिए अच्छा है वो, लेकिन अगर तुम्हें थोड़ा सब्सटेंशियल अमाउंट ऑफ मटेरियल हटाना है तो सैंड ब्लास्टिंग तुम्हें लगता है कि रीजनेबल चीज़ है? मतलब reasonable हो सकती है किसी particular application में, but it's going to take much longer. Do you agree?
Yes, sir.
Because individual particles are hitting your wood, and those individual particles have to remove individual small particles of wood, so it is going to take much longer. If you were to use a planer किसको बोलते हैं? In Hindi we call it randa. Do you know what randa is, Dipanshu?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So if you use that, which of these two is going to be faster?
Randa.
Huh? The planer.
Yes, sir.
Okay, compared to sandblasting. Everything has its own applications, but in some cases you may not be allowed to use planar for whatever reason. Okay, let us say planar has certain characteristics that you may not allow that to happen, to use that. Okay, then you have to use sandblasting because you have no other option. Okay, that is the best option, which is what I just talked about here. Okay, so although it is going to be much slower, but you may prefer dry etching to wet etching, because wet etching may be fast, but it does not give you what you want within reasonable specifications. Okay, so even if it is fast, it does not really matter. Okay, as if you are not reaching your end goal, then what is the point of it being fast? Okay.
एक्सक्यूज मी सर,
Yeah.
तो स्टार्टिंग में वेट एचिंग यूज करके फिर बाद में ड्राई एचिंग भी यूज कर सकते हैं.
Yeah, but then control becomes quite difficult.
मतलब
That is-
half
that-
part
that
को
is the-
हटा के वेट एचिंग से फिर ड्राई एचिंग यूज कर.
हाँ, वो मतलब ट्रांसफर भी, और उसके अलावा कि तुम्हारी थिकनेस कितनी रह जाएगी, वो सब बहुत डिफिकल्ट हो जाएगा ना उसको कंट्रोल करना. So please understand that dry etching is not that selective. Okay, wet etching is very selective. ठीक है, wet etching was very selective. It was, you did not have to worry about it. Okay, in most cases wet etching is very selective. It would not etch silicon. Okay, it would only etch silicon dioxide. But what about dry etching? If I were to use argon ions, ठीक है, मैं argon के ions को use कर रहा हूँ, argon plus. Okay, what is it going to do? It may have different speeds for removal of silicon dioxide and silicon. I agree with that. Okay, that may have different speeds of removal of silicon dioxide and silicon, but it is not going to be 0 and means 0.1 and 1000. Okay, it is not going to be that different between silicon and silicon dioxide if you are bombarding it with argon ions. Okay, it is going to be quite similar. So you do not want to, हमें क्या क्या नहीं चाहिए यहाँ से, हमको किस चीज़ को remove नहीं करना है. We only want to remove silicon dioxide. We do not want to remove silicon. So Vaishnavi, so we have to be very precise about how much time we allow various processes to take place, especially when we are doing.
पता कैसे चलता है फिर कि कब बंद करना है उस प्लाज्मा जो हम बम्बार्ड कर रहे हैं.
So we have means so this is in production. Okay, production we already know, but before we reach the production, we do many experiments to find out what is the exact etch rate corresponding to a particular
मतलब
material.
ट्राई करते हैं और जो पता चलेगा.
हाँ, so you can think of it as a hit and trial. Okay, you calibrate your instrument. Okay, what is calibration? That you're going to do it for 10 minutes and you see how much thickness is removed. You do it for 20 minutes and see how much thickness is removed. You do it for 30 minutes and see how much thickness is removed, and you find out what is the thickness, and then you find out what time will be required to remove that.
हाँ,
Okay.
वो फिक्स रहेगा. अगर एक ही यूज
हाँ.
करेंगे तो ऐसे दो यूज करेंगे तो.
It will be much more complicated. So usually we do not do that. Okay.
ओके सर.
Any other questions? Nope. Okay. So let us continue with photolithography then. Okay. So let me erase these. So we're talking about photolithography. Okay, so it is writing. Litho stands for, I think it stands for writing. Okay, so writing using what? Photo. What is photo?
Light.
Light. Okay, writing using light. So so the main magic ingredient in all of this is something called as photoresist. Okay. So how does this work? Photoresist has a special property that it reacts with light. Okay, it reacts means it changes its chemical composition upon exposure to light. Okay, so there are primarily two kinds of photoresist. One is a positive photoresist. So a positive photoresist and a negative photoresist. Okay. So let us say you have a silicon wafer. Okay, this is your silicon wafer, and you deposit. Let us say we talk about a positive photoresist. Okay, so we deposit a positive PR. Okay, PR here does not stand for public relations, it stands for photoresist. Okay, so positive PR, and I have a mask on top of it. What is a mask? A mask is a piece of glass, okay, with a pattern on top of it. Okay, so let us say we have a mask. This is your mask. So the mask contains, so this is your mask. So mask, I keep my mask upside down. What do I mean by upside down? That my pattern, this is a metallic pattern on top of your mask on your glass. So this is a glass piece. So if you were to look at the mask, okay, if you were to look at your mask, it will appear like a glass piece, and on which there is some pattern. Okay, so I have put that piece of glass with a pattern on top of it upside down. Okay, so that this metal, the pattern side is directly in contact with your photoresist, which is deposited on top of your silicon. Okay, so now what is going to happen if I shine light on top of this particular mask which is on top of your photoresist coated silicon? What is going to happen when I shine light on this? क्या होगा इस केस में? Where will the light be incident on this photoresist? कहाँ पर light इस photoresist को feel होगी?
जहाँ पर metal नहीं होगा.
Everywhere where we do not have this pattern on top of our mask. Okay, so these are the places where there will be, so this will be light and this will be dark. This will be light and this will be dark, and this will be light. So wherever light has shone, SHONE, okay, shined, if you want to use shined, wherever light has shined on top of your photoresist, in those places some chemical reaction takes place. And what does that chemical reaction do? If I am saying that it's a positive photoresist क्या करेगा? वो पैटर्न को क्या करेगा? जो हमारे मास्क पे जो पैटर्न है उसको कैसे ले पहुंचाएगा? फाइनली हमारा सब कुछ क्या होना चाहिए? अगर पॉजिटिव की बात करें, नेगेटिव और पॉजिटिव. इफ यू नो एनीथिंग अबाउट फोटोग्राफी, यू शुड बी एबल टू आंसर दिस क्वेश्चन. I know you guys are all digital age guys, but there were negatives. You might see your old negatives of your parents or their photographs. What does negative look like? Is it similar to the final photograph, or is it opposite of the? Are the faces dark or bright?
Sir, it is opposite.
Opposite. Okay. So your faces are dark and the hair are bright in the negatives. So if I'm talking about a positive photoresist, think about it. What should my final end product look like? जैसा मास्क है, मास्क से उल्टा बताओ.
Sir, like the mask.
Like the mask. Okay, it should look exactly like the mask. So what does this light do in this case to the positive photoresist? Light क्या करती है उस positive? इसके बाद हम next step after the exposure. So this particular phase is called as the exposure. Okay, we are exposing our photoresist to the light. What is that light going to do? So the next step in this is going to be development. Okay, you put it in a developer. What is developer going to do? It is going to remove photoresist from the places where क्या light has where it was light or dark. Developer क्या करेगा उसको? किसको हटाएगा? लाइट वाले को या डार्क वाले को? बताओ. पॉजिटिव फोटोरेसिस्ट की बात हो रही है यार, आंसर करो. अभी तुमने करा था, कर दोगे?
Sir, it will remove the light.
Yeah, it is going to remove. So what does light do in this case? Light makes your photoresist weaker. Okay, it disintegrates it in one sense, so that it can, this light, the portion where photoresist has interacted with light, that portion becomes weaker, and or it becomes not necessarily weaker, but it becomes capable of reacting with the developer. So the developer reacts with the light region and it does not react with the dark region. Okay, so the places where light has previously shone, in those places the developer removes the photoresist, and after going through the developer, your final wafer is going to look something like this. You will have silicon, and then you will have two small these islands of photoresist. Okay, after going through the developer. Okay, so now if instead of the positive photoresist I had used the negative photoresist, तो क्या होता? So this is with positive photoresist. अगर मैंने नेगेटिव फोटोरेसिस्ट यूज किया होता तो मेरा फाइनल पैटर्न कैसा दिखता? बताओ. Using the same mask. Okay, mask is going to be the same. Using the same mask, everything is the same except that I have used a negative photoresist instead of a positive one. What is my final pattern going to look like?
तो सर डार्क वालों को रिमूव कर देते हो और
Yeah, it is going to remove the dark regions, so it is going to look something like okay. So this is your photoresist. Okay. So when you are designing a process, okay, the process को use कर रहे हो, so do you think we can interchange positive and negative photoresist? इंटरचेंज कर सकते हैं उनको? अगर हमारे मान लो पॉजिटिव फोटोरेसिस्ट खत्म हो गया हमारी लैब में, तो क्या हम नेगेटिव फोटोरेसिस्ट यूज कर सकते हैं?
यस सर.
हाँ
हाँ सर कर सकते हैं अगर.
अरे कैसे कर लेंगे यार, उल्टा पैटर्न बन जाएगा.
बट सर बाकी भी चेंजेस करने पड़ेंगे ना उसके.
नहीं यार, वो मतलब ऑब्वियसली दोनों ही, मतलब अगर बिल्कुल यूजफुल नहीं होता तो हमारे पास होता ही नहीं ना इस दुनिया में. ऑब्वियसली वो तो बात है ही, सब कुछ ही चेंज करना पड़ेगा ना, पूरी सारे मास्क चेंज करने पड़ेंगे, सब चीज़ चेंज करनी पड़ेंगी.
हाँ सर.
हाँ, so they are not interchangeable. So you have to keep that in mind when you are designing your process itself, that what kind of photoresist you are going to use. You have to design your mask accordingly. Okay. So one thing that we are going to talk about in this particular case is that what I just showed you is called as contact photolithography. Okay, so it is called as contact photolithography. Okay, anybody can tell me why is it called contact? Anybody? What is in contact with what?
So the mask is in contact with the wafer.
Photoresist. Yeah, photoresist. Okay, so the mask is in contact with the photoresist. What is the problem with that? Any idea what might be a problem with this contact photolithography?
सर वो टूट सकता है?
What can break? क्या टूट सकता है?
Photoresist.
Photoresist टूट सकता है. Yeah, that is the possibility that your mask becomes stuck to it, because photoresist is usually very sticky sort of substance. So that is a good point, that it can get stuck. Okay, so it can, while you are attaching your photoresist, sorry, the mask in, when you're bringing your mask into contact with the photoresist or you're removing it, it's a possibility that your photoresist may break because of the stickiness of it. Okay, that is a good point. What else? Something to do with perpetual problems. Okay, that if you do something now, it may cause problem in the next wafer that you use with the same mask. Do you think that is a possibility? So related to Tanya, what Tanya just said, if a small particle of photoresist gets stuck on your mask, what is it going to do? मान लो यहाँ पर इस मास्क पर ये तुम्हारा फोटोरेसिस्ट का छोटा सा टुकड़ा ऐसे यहाँ पे आके मान लो चिपक गया, ठीक है, ये तुम्हारा फोटोरेसिस्ट यहाँ पर, या फोटोरेसिस्ट या एनी अदर डस्ट पार्टिकल और व्हाटएवर फ्रॉम योर वेफर, इट गोज एंड गेट्स स्टक onto your mask, then what is going to happen?
वो लाइट सही जगह पे शाइन नहीं करेगा.
Yeah, so once you go through, if you had a globule like this, what is it going to do? What is your final this going to look like? It is going to look something like this. हाँ या ना? अगर ऐसा हो जाए तो, okay, so that is a big problem. Okay, in contact photolithography, there is a high likelihood of some defects occurring, and those defects can get transferred onto your mask, which is a big problem. Okay, getting a defect on the wafer is a problem, but it's not a big problem. But if it gets stuck on a mask, then it's a big problem, because it is going to happen in every single wafer that goes through this particular mask. Obviously the mask can be reused again and again. It's made of glass and metal for a reason. Why is it made from metal and glass? Because you want to be able to clean it easily. Okay, that is why we use metal. Okay, because cleaning with a solvent is not going to destroy your metal. It is going to destroy, but it is not going to destroy it sufficiently for the lifetime of your mask. Okay, so so to get rid of these problems, we do not want our mask to come in contact with the wafer. So we use something called as proximity printing. Okay, we also use, so instead of photolithography, printing is also sometimes used. So it is contact printing and proximity printing. Okay, printing is essentially transferring a pattern from one place to another. Okay, that is printing. So proximity printing, what do you think is going to happen in this case? इस केस में क्या होगा?
Sir, instead of making the contact, we keep it close enough so that just the pattern is transferred.
We keep it where?
Sir, means we keep it such a distance
Yeah.
which is close enough for the printing to happen, sir.
Yeah, so it looks something like this. So this is your glass with a pattern. Okay, and then this is your photoresist and silicon. Okay, this is your mask. Okay, so mask does not come in contact with the photoresist, it is a little bit further away, and this results in a pattern being, so the light, so in this case, what do you think is going to happen to the light? We have discussed this previously a little bit. What happens in this case? What kind of pattern do you expect to, let us say we were to draw a line, the places where we will have a light and dark. So do you think that this is going to be smaller or larger than this? The dark region, is it going to be
Smaller.
smaller? Huh?
Smaller.
Smaller, why?
Diffraction.
Diffraction. Okay, so diffraction is going to cause some movement of light underneath this pattern. Okay, so your final may look something like this. Obviously we account for that when we are creating the mask. Okay, we account for, so depending on how much your distance is and all those things, we account for all these things while we are designing our mask. We know, based on previous experiments and theories, we know what kind of pattern we are going to get upon using this proximity printing. So if we want to have the same pattern in both the cases, so do you think the mask is going to be the same or is it going to be different? If I want the final pattern to be the same on the silicon wafer of photoresist in proximity printing as well as in contact printing, do you think the mask is going to be the same or different?
Different.
Huh? Different. Good.
Different.
Okay, because we have to account for this diffraction. Okay, so usually in contact printing, we get features, the smallest features are of the order of 1 micron. Do you think that in proximity printing, this is going to become smaller or larger? The smallest feature that you can print? What kind of control? Are we losing control on light or are we gaining control on light? If we are using this?
We're losing control.
Losing control. Okay, so the features that we are going to be able to make are going to be smaller or larger?
Larger.
Larger. Okay, we cannot make as small of features now. So in this case, it is of the order of 2 to 5 microns. Okay, so this is the smallest feature that you can create using contact printing, and this is the smallest feature that you can create using proximity printing. Okay, so we'll talk about a little bit on Monday. Extension of what happens in photolithography and other unit processes. If anybody has a question, I'll answer that, otherwise we'll stop.
Sir,
Yeah.
sir, why can't we use a very thin layer of any other substance like glass below the metal?
Even if you use that, won't the problem that was initially existing, and moreover, the point of use, so what you are saying, that can be easily remedied by putting the metal side on top and the glass on bottom. ठीक है ना?
Okay, yes, sir.
है ना, वो भी कर सकते थे ना, वो कोई रोक तो रहा नहीं था, लेकिन हमने क्यों नहीं किया था? चलो बताओ, तुम ही बताओ अब, ऐसा क्यों नहीं करते हम?
I don't know.
Come on, something to do with what we are doing on the right hand side. सोचो.
Acha, like light
Diffraction. Diffraction.
might bend. Yes, sir. Okay.
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 That is why we do not do that. Then we are losing. So if we put that, then we are losing the benefit of contact printing, and we are not gaining the benefit of proximity printing. ठीक है ना? क्योंकि वो फिर भी तुम्हारा चिपकेगा तो है ही, है ना?
Yes,
So
sir, yes.
the defects from the wafer can get, from your photoresist, can get transferred into your mask, which will perpetuate in the future for other wafers. So we do not want that. Okay, so we are not gaining the advantage of no diffraction or low diffraction in this case, but we are losing the advantage of proximity printing also, that we are still in contact. So we do not want that. Anybody else? Nope. Okay, then we'll continue on Monday. Yeah.
Sir, like in the projects, you have said that we can choose any topic related to semiconductor manufacturing.
Yeah.
So could you give an example of what topics we might use?
An example, let us say that after doing this photolithography, we do an inspection. Okay, what is that inspection? We do a visual, not a visual, obviously visual will, maybe we do a visual inspection using a microscope. Okay, an optical inspection using a microscope. Okay, and we have a data set which contains few images, let us say 1,000 images of good wafers and 1,000 images or 500 images of bad wafers. Okay, आया समझ में अभी तक या नहीं?
Yes, sir.
Okay, and then you give it the 1501 first image, 1501st image, which is unknown to you. Okay, so you want to feed it to you want to design a system so that it can classify that image as good or bad. Okay, without any human intervention. Is that all right?
Yeah, yes, okay, sir.
So that might be an inline testing data set that you might use. Okay, you will find these data sets. There are a couple on Kaggle as well, and other places also you can find them. Okay. Anybody else? Nope. Okay, then I'll see you on. Dipanshu, are you going to email me?
Yes, sir, I will email you.
Okay. Thank you. Bye bye.